In the shadow of the Rockies, where the wild winds blow, Albertans rise up, tired of the status quo. Oil sands pumping black gold, beef on the grill so fine, grain fields waving golden, canola blooming in the sunshine. But Ottawa's taking our billions, unfair equalization gain, sending it east to Quebec while we shoulder the blame. No more pipelines blocked, no more carbon tax chains. We're done with the feds, breaking free from their reins. Alberta freedom, ringing loud and true. Woo. Sovereignty calling, independence coming through. No more
we can do it.
Liberalism, stealing our way of life.
Good to see everyone.
Tall, cutting loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a right.
Hey, well, kind of a special broadcast here today because we've got a bit of an emergency on here right now. The Alberta Freedom Plan has hit a kind of a roadblock. We've got the natives in Alberta, the Aboriginal peoples, have put together a court case, and they've got a Liberal judge that has actually kiboshed the whole thing, if you can believe that. Like, what kind of a country are we living in, you know, where we believe that we have a democracy, that we're able to vote on things, and then all of a sudden the natives come up and go, whoa, hang on a second, you didn't talk to us first. So the, the court system has basically quashed the whole thing. So we're in a bit of a conundrum here right now. It's a tough situation that we're in here in Alberta right now. We'll get into the whole story today. Stay tuned.
Independence coming through. No more woke liberalism, stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cutting loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand.
Alberta freedom.
Let the anthems roll. We're building our nation.
Bam, bam, bam. Oh yeah, we can do this. We just have to keep at it.
But self-determination's all right.
Good to see everyone.
From the Soviets, we'll fight
Nice
through
to
the
see everyone in the
night.
chat. I see you there.
No more sending our wealth to fund their endless schemes. Our pensions rising, fulfilling our dreams. Tired of the liberals, their rules and their games. Albertans awakening. Calling out our name.
It's gonna happen. Don't worry about it. It'll happen. We'll give you the lowdown on where we're at here right now, though. We're at, like I say, we've hit a bit of a roadblock, but hey, this is something that it could take years to happen. You never know. You never know how long it's going to take to happen. But yeah, cool flag. Yeah, I know. I like it. I put that up just for Edward Cam there. I thought he'd like it. It's like the state of Canada. The state of Canada. We're like in a bit of tatters there. The Canadian flag is a bit tattered today.
Separation's the answer.
Yeah.
Lifting us higher. No more being the wallet.
Pretty fancy.
Broken confederation. Freedom's our birthright, our declaration.
Woohoo.
Alberta freedom.
Nice to see you, Mater.
Loud and true.
Everyone else in the chat.
Independence coming through. No more woke liberalism, stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cut loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand.
Alberta freedom.
Let the anthems roll. We're building our nation.
Okay. let's get the show started.
Freedom, yeah, forevermore.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. You're watching a special broadcast of the Tommy Temper Show. I'm Tommy Temper, coming to you from the palatial main studios, overlooking the elm-lined streets. Very windy out there today, and the birds are having a hard time flying around. It's like we've got gusts up to about 70 kilometers an hour. The flags are flying, but the Canadian flag is in a bit of tatters, as you can see behind me there. But the Alberta flag, over on this side here, it's in good shape. Don't worry about it, okay? But Canada is in pretty rough shape. You're looking rough there, Canada, the rest of Canada there. The flag is just, it's tattered. It's looking like worse for wear. It's being cannibalized by different groups and stuff like that, you know. And, yeah, we're just tired of the whole situation in Canada here in Alberta. But, as you well know, we've collected 300, and you guys saw me, 300,000 signatures. You saw where the signatures got turned into Elections Alberta Monday, whatever, a week ago. And I was there live on location, bringing to you the goings on there. So thanks a lot, everyone, for watching there. If you're just watching this broadcast here, make sure you hit that like button, sub up to the channel there if you're just watching, for more information on what's happening with the whole petition, the signings, the plebiscite, whether or not we're going to be having a vote. You know, hey, if the actual signatures were verified by Elections Alberta, then we could potentially be having a vote to secede, to to get away from Canada. And that supposedly would have happened on the 19th of October. But we've got a bit of a rock in the works, a stone in the works. It's a stumbling point that we've come upon here, because the natives, went to the court system, and they said, no, you didn't consult us, and you need to consult the natives, the Aboriginal people, you know. And I love the Aboriginal people. I love everybody. I'm not racist against anybody. At least I don't try to be. You know what I mean? I'll make fun of people and whatever, and just because I make fun of people, that doesn't make me racist. But honestly, I try and love everybody. I try and get along with everybody. So I'm not, like negative towards the native people. You know, everyone has their say, and if they weren't consulted, well, that's a new one for us, because there's a procedure that you have to go through. There's laws on the books, and as far as the petition and all of the 300,000 signatures that were gathered, they were all done lawfully, the way everything is outlined in the books. And as you well know, if you live in Canada, that Quebec has actually tried to secede from Canada to become its own country, and they actually did 2 votes, right? Twice it went to vote within the province, and neither one of those 2 times was there any interference from any of the Aboriginal people in Canada. So it leads you to believe that, well, how can Quebec get away with 2 votes, and the votes get counted, and they found out that there was 49% of the people voted to secede, and it wasn't quite enough. It was almost enough, but not quite enough. So, but they actually voted. They actually had a chance to vote. Now here we have a case where we didn't even vote. It's not like the natives are going, whoa, you voted, and we're quashing the whole thing. No, this was just us collecting signatures, and the signatures were a plebiscite, and the plebiscite, if over 177,000 signatures were collected, which in fact there were, then they should be counted by Elections Alberta. And if there are over 177, well, then it should be put on the ballot. And the Premier of Alberta, Premier Smith, has already said that there's going to be, a vote on. She's got a date already. She even came up with the date, October the 19th. And, we're all being led to believe that if we got enough people signing the petition, that we'd have the question on a vote. But as it turns out, the natives in Alberta have said, no, we're going to the court system. And we've got this lady, I'm not even going to say her name because I don't want to give her any prominence, but we have a liberal, according to River's Edge, according to this New Brunswick-born Eastern Canada, Trudeau-appointed liberal, okay, Mark Carney liberal judge, right? This is who made the decision with the where the natives went to the court system, and she is the judge that made the decision. All citizens must consult the First Nations in order to petition their own elected government to even ask a fucking question. Can you believe it? This judge just overthrew the entire democratic process of citizen petitions to cater to 5 Tides Foundation bribed, well, I don't know how many of them were bribed, but we know that at least one of them was, environmental activist First Nations chiefs. So, you know what the Liberals are like, and you know how woke the Liberals are, and you know how liberal they are, and you know what kind of judgments that the liberal judges give. It's like, it's pathetic, absolutely pathetic that this happened, and you can blame her. The woman liberal judge is the one that's behind this whole thing that put a stop to the actual vote that could potentially be happening on the 19th of October. Well, that's not a good sign, not a good situation. We don't like that at all. Let's go over to our good friend here, and we're going to listen to this. This guy is a really good investigative reporter, and we're going to play a little bit of his bit here today. It's entitled Alberta Separation Referendum Canceled by U.S.-Funded Anti-Pipeline Chief. So, you got a bunch of chiefs here, the chiefs of the native bands that kind of banded together. And this particular guy had an interview on television. And there's a good, not a friend of mine because I've never met him at all, but I watch him quite a bit on YouTube. And he's got a channel by the name of Moose on the Loose, okay? So a big shout out to Moose on the Loose for this bit that we're going to watch here, where he pretty much tells you what's happening with the chief. We see a bit of the interview and then a bit of the background on the band that he's involved with and the amount of money that he actually has gotten through the Tides Foundation. And also what his band is like and what kind of money that the band actually gets, okay? So let's watch this bit here, and I'll just play it, and you can listen in here.
I showed this in the previous video, 46% of First Nation voters back independence. And looking at the ethnic breakdown here, First Nations have the highest support of any group in Alberta. The second would be Middle Eastern, 32%, then other 29, and then you've got white at 28. More so that, look, First Nations 46 to 41, it's the only group that has the majority of people who want independence. So who's doing this? It's not the First Nation band members. A lot of First Nation band members are great people, and they are enslaved in this stupid system that is set up decades ago by these corrupt chiefs. Now, not all chiefs are corrupt. There's some really good chiefs, and there's some bad chiefs. And more often than not, there's bad chiefs than good chiefs, because the system is rigged against Canadians.
For more on this, we are joined now by Chief Alan Adam from the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation, which was one of the groups that brought this case. Chief Adam, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you for having me on the air.
Well, what is your reaction to this decision and the Premier's description of it as incorrect and undemocratic?
It's...
Just look at this. He has a long pause, and look at his face, his reaction here. It's very telling.
It's a good win for Canada. It's a good win for Albertans.
Big greasy smile. I'm going to show you why. He doesn't want the gravy train to end. And what has he been doing? He's been personally inhibiting not only Alberta's prosperity, but Canada's prosperity.
it is a democratic process because that's what the Constitution is there for, to fight for your right and to be heard in the court of law. And as long as that takes place and the ruling comes down because you put your points forward, the Alberta government nor anybody or Mitch Sylvester or anybody came and consulted with the First Nations in regards to them leaving.
Why should there be any consultation? Because it's not even to the point of voting. This is only gathering signatures and counting the signatures. That's all. As to whether or not, hey, there may not be even enough signatures to put it on the ballot. Like, why are they even getting involved in putting a stop to the whole thing and going, hey, you didn't even talk to us about whether or not you can separate. And like I said, why didn't the bands in Quebec do the same thing over there? They didn't interfere with the vote process in Quebec.
Canada, and this sends a clear message to every agency out there. If the separatists have no grounds to leave because they didn't consult with the First Nations, Canada, made announcements that, their consultation policy will reflect to 120 days when it comes to First Nations. I think you should relook at that. It's a great victory for everybody that believe in Canada.
No, it's not a great victory at all, because there were 7,000 people that sat out there in the cold all winter long getting the signatures from people. And then he comes along and he goes to the court and goes, hey, you didn't talk to us about this whole thing. Nothing against Native people at all. 46% of Native people are actually in favor, by the poll showing that they are in favor of independence.
And democracy, because, it's Danielle Smith's call from here. And if she's going to appeal, does that mean that she is a separatist government?
Okay, it's time to take this guy back down to size here. So first off, you see this guy's name here, Chief Alan Adam of the Athabasca Chippewan First Nation. This is important to note. Chief Alan Adam. This guy talks about constitutional rights and legal rights and all this. He's taking away people's legal right to vote on this. He talks about it being a big win.
Right.
This guy's an absolute traitor to Canada. I don't have to tell you that. I can show you how he's a traitor. First Nation chief receives $55,000 from Tides Foundation. Remember this article? This was
Yeah. In fact, I remember him getting that money from the Tides Foundation. And then he was against the oil sands, absolutely against the oil sands. And the Tides Foundation is an American outfit that is, interfering in Canadian rights and Canadian ability to extract oil from the earth. And they just want to keep all of that. It's like an environmental, foundation, the Tides Foundation, very well known. And lots of money, find out who funds the Tides Foundation too and who's behind that. Yeah, look into that. But that foundation, which is an American foundation, interfering in Canadian politics and Canadian oil sands, basically paid him $55,000 to oppose the oil sands, if you could believe that. Like, come on.
Written by Ezra Levant in 2014. And who's this guy here? A left-wing lobby group in San Francisco wired $55,000 to the bank account of an Indian chief in northern Alberta, paying him to oppose the oil sands. And sure enough, that chief, Alan Adam of the Athabasca Chippewan First Nation, earned his money. Last weekend, he flew to Toronto to sit on a stage next to Neil Young, the folk singer who was in town, to demonize Canada's oil industry. This guy's taking bribes from America to block pipelines to the West Coast to bring prosperity to our nation. Nation, and then he blocks separation. This guy does not realize he's awakening the bear. There's more than one bear. There's a whole bunch of bears that are going to be coming out of their caves pretty quick. And you can see this is from 12 years ago. That's why he's still got black hair here versus what he looks like today.
Wow.
This is the same guy. He took bribes from the Tides Foundation, which is a left-wing American organization that funnels this money around to block oil sands, to block energy production in our country. This is foreign interference. You want to call it that? That's what it is, foreign interference. And he engaged in this against our nation, against Canadians. This guy is a traitor by definition. He's a traitor to Canada. And that's not where it ends, folks. So here's the financials of the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation. It's not pretty. First off, we scroll to the bottom, you can see the dates here on the left side. So you can see 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, etc. And all the way bottom, 24, 25. What's this? Not posted yet. Look at the schedule of remuneration expenses, not posted yet for 23, 24.
Yeah. Check this out. It's like, this is the background of his band and how he operates his band. And, you know, like, thanks to Moose on the Loose for his investigative work on, digging up the information on the bands. He does a really good job with lots of stuff, especially Carney, the federal government, and all the shenanigans that are going on. But just look at what he points out about the band here, how many people are involved in the band, and the amount of money that he receives from the federal government is unbelievable. And I think that he's worried about maybe not getting as much money from the federal government. So his reasoning for opposing Alberta independence is actually looking at his own wallet, his own pocket, his own, well-being by way of money being funneled to the band from the Alberta government. Look at this.
Not posted yet for 22, 23, not even posted for 21, 22. It's been 5 years and they haven't posted the remuneration expenses, like cut off the funding. This is preposterous. They have posted their audited consolidated financial statements, but they haven't posted the other stuff. We'll get into this here. So first off, we'll look at their financials here, which is this one here from 2025, the audited consolidated financial statement. And in this, we see a whole lot of taxpayer money going to this band. We can see $9.6 million of taxpayer money came from the Department of Indigenous Services Canada. And you look the previous year before, 2024, was only $7.9 million. So they got an increase here of $1.7 million. And scrolling down, they've got other revenue, industry grants and other revenue, $3.2 million. First Nation Development Fund, $688,000. We've got CMHC, that's another $841,000. Nutrition North Canada, another $800,000. There's a lot of taxpayer money going to this band. I mean, even if we just look at the top one, $9.6 million. And then we look at how much this band is worth. Accumulated surplus beginning of the year, $179 million. Accumulated surplus end of the year, $193 million. Why are we giving them $10 million plus a year? They don't need the money. Why are we spending our money on this? No wonder this guy doesn't want the cash cow to end. He doesn't want Alberta separatist movement to go forward. It's silly because in theory, if they kept this reconciliation stuff at the same rate, but Alberta was a separate country, they could probably pay more to these bands. But they also know that if a new leader gets in there and there's no liberals in power, they'd probably cut off this nonsense and make every citizen equal. But right now in Canada, all citizens are not equal. First Nations have way more rights. They're just way more valuable than rest of us Canadians. People can say that's a race word, this, that. It's just the truth. A white Canadian male like myself is the lowest value citizen in this country. Now, if we scroll down to the bottom here, there's another piece of information that old Chief Adam Allen here is not bringing up with David Cochrane on CBC. Right near the bottom, on page 20, literally the last page, what do we have? Subsequent to year-end, Athabasca Chippewa First Nation signed a settlement agreement with the Government of Canada for Treaty 8 annuities for the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation members regarding payments and entitlements under the treaty in the amount of $98,952,000. They're getting a one-time payment of almost $100 million. So this is a payment going back for the past 100 and whatever it was, 110.
Wow. What a cash cow. Like, do you see why when you look at stuff like this that you shake your head and you wonder, wow, these guys are getting a whole hell of a lot of money. Now, of course, you might say, oh, yeah, well, Tommy Temper, it sucks to be you, good to be us, and in your face, and stuff like that. But, what's it all about? Why so much money? And just take a look here at how big this band is and how many people are in this band and how many people actually live on the reserve. Like, take a look at these numbers after you've heard how many millions and millions of dollars have gone to the band here.
10 years back since 1899 saying your land, you couldn't utilize your land properly and we're going to give you this payment to make it up to you. Taxpayers paying these guys $100 million. Why? They already have 170 million plus in the bank. We have to give them another 100 million with the real estate holdings. That brings them up to nearly 300 million bucks. Now, how many people are in this band? We're talking $300 million of assets and cash right on the Government of Canada website here. First Nation details. We've got Athabasca, Chippewa, and First Nation going to their registered population. And what do we have? This is unreal. Right away, you see population 1,567. That's not the real number. The real number is this number plus this number. They have 33 people on reserve. This is males and females on reserve.
What? $300 million. 33 people living on the reserve. I should actually take a drive over to the reserve there and see what the 33 people's house look like. I bet you the chief has a nice house, but does the chief even have a house on the reserve, or is he living in, Edmonton or one of the big cities, but 33 people, like, really, shake your head, Canada, shake your head, Liberals. Are you not even looking at this kind of stuff and thinking, well, what's a realistic number that you should be giving to a band where you've got 33 people living on the reserve? Like, come on. And even if it's 1,500 people, but most of the people aren't even living on the reservation. They're living in other cities like Edmonton and Calgary and whatever, and they probably have jobs, and they have an income, and they're living a life just like you or I, but they still benefit from all of this money.
33 people live on this reserve and have $300 million to their name now. The other numbers here, we've got 5 and 4 are males and females on other reserves, and then we've got males on Crown land, females on Crown land, and then we've got males and females off reserve. These are people who are like, I've had enough of this nonsense. I'm just going to go live a normal life like a normal Canadian. So that's 1,200 people. So they have 33 people that live on reserve. That works out to be $9 million a piece. 300 million, 33 people. We're giving them $10 million a year plus and a $100 million payout. And this trader taking money from the Tides Foundation in America to block energy to the West Coast to bring prosperity to our nation and then taking all that money from us is just appalling. Like, it really is just unbelievable. Like, this guy's easily one of the most corrupt chiefs in Canada. Like, he's just right to the core. And it doesn't end here, because if we look at their remuneration here, this is going back to 2020 because they haven't submitted their documents. You can see Adam Allen, chief, right here. He makes $246,546. This is one of the highest paid chiefs that I've seen on any of these. I've gone through a dozen of these. There's a couple of chiefs that have paid themselves.
And you always hear this, that the chief ends up getting a lot of money, right? Whereas the people are living in dilapidated houses and stuff like that without, quote, running water, or they have to boil advisory water. Like, I don't know that that's like that on this particular reserve, but definitely the chief is living high on the hog, and he's worried that the federal money is going to be honed down a little bit there, that people are going to actually read the numbers, look into it like we're looking at it here today, and go, holy crap, what was actually in the treaty, what was actually agreed to, and what's with all this cash flow that's going to the band and to the chief there. Unbelievable. Newfie Princess, hey, thanks a lot for joining. 29 months, appreciate that. Thank you very much for joining up to the channel there. Newfie Princess, big shout out to you there. Thanks a lot.
900 grand for a single year, try to get away with it. Just dirty chiefs trying to rip off taxpayers and rip off their own bands. And that's how these bands work. They work like little dictatorships. You have to stay nice with the chiefs to get money from the band, from the crown jewels that comes from taxpayers. This guy is one of the highest paid chiefs out of any that I've seen. And look at this. He's got $12,000 for Northern Living Allowance. They're not living up in Nunavut. Travel, $2,000. This puts him up almost $260,000 a year. Then he sits here on CBC, says it's a great win that citizens don't get to express their own political right to vote. Like, this is just so appalling.
Or Mitch Sylvester or anybody came and consulted with the First Nations in regards to them leaving.
Did they consult with Canadians for blocking a pipeline to the West Coast? And this wasn't just $55,000. This guy's barking up the wrong tree with the wrong person
Red
here.
Mama.
U.S. Foundation funding Canadian anti-pipeline protest. Fair or foul? This is coming from CBC
Thanks a
themselves.
lot.
Debates grow over impact of American funding being directed towards Canadian environmental campaigns. The debate about impact of American money on Canadian anti-pipeline movement continues fiercely as a pair of energy industry influencers taking calls from across Alberta on the subject. So it says here, Jody Aldous spoke to researcher and blogger Vivian Krause, as well as award-winning Calgary author Chris Turner Monday about the degree of which the US dollar is shaping the conversation we're now having in Canada about building pipelines. Now get this. This is going to knock your socks off. It says Krause has estimated the various U.S. funders have contributed in the neighborhood of $40 million in the recent years to hundreds of Canadian environmentalists and Indigenous groups. The goal is to help them spread a message about the need to landlock Alberta crude through protests against the construction of new pipelines.
Like absolutely against bringing oil out of the ground and bringing it to the rest of the world. Against pipelines, against everything, and they use the old it's environmental disaster. It's a hazard. You're wrecking the environment, And if you've ever been up to like the oil sands up north, which I have, they actually reclaim the land. Whatever they do, if they dig something up, they put the topsoil back on again. They plant trees, they plant shrubbery, they make it just back to the way it was normally. And you know what? In a lot of cases, that oil is oozing out of the ground, right, and leaking into the rivers and stuff like that. It's not the oil companies that are contaminating things. They're actually cleaning things up and leaving it in a better condition than when it was before they arrived. And in fact, now they actually drill holes into the ground and inject steam to get the oil out of the ground instead of actually scraping it off with giant machinery. They still do a little bit of both up there, but still, they're changing the whole thing.
These American groups have spent $40 million to screw us over, and you've got guys like Chief Allen here taking the money and helping block prosperity in our own country. So Krause goes on to say, I think the campaign is the reason why Northern Gateway was canceled, Energy East, Keystone, and Trans Mountain. All these pipelines canceled because these corrupt American organizations on the left are poisoning our country from the inside, finding dirty chiefs that'll take this cash and use their power to block our pipelines. Like, this should be a jailable offense. And then this guy's got the gall to go on CBC and brag about quelling the separatist referendum. This guy's the head of this. Now, there's a whole bunch of bands that did this together, but this guy is the lead that blocked the separatist movement.
They didn't consult with the First Nations.
This guy sounds like a broken robot. Consult with First Nations.
It's a great victory for everybody that believe in Canada and democracy.
This is not democracy. At least the people of Quebec got to vote. This guy is heading up the group.
Hang on. It's the opposite of democracy. Democracy is where you let the people vote on what they want. For you to block the whole thing and say, well, you didn't talk to me about it, so I'm going to block it. You know what? You have a vote just like anyone else. If you live in Alberta, you vote just like I vote, just like everyone in Alberta votes. That's what you call a democracy. It's not a democracy when you have a small group of people say, no, we don't like that. You didn't talk to us.
Taking away Albertans' rights to vote if they want to be a country or not. Like, this is, I said it before, I'll say it again. Conservatives across Canada, including the separatists of Alberta, we need to stick together to push back against this kind of crap. This cannot stand in our country. Here we have the chief in 2018 on this article coming from the National Post saying latest First Nation complaints could complicate Liberal review of frontier oil sands mine. He's been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Look at this. It says the Athabasca Chipewyan supports the project and signed a benefit agreement with Teck.
Yeah, I remember when he was with Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda came to Alberta. I remember I actually went to a conference and I videoed the thing. And he was like in stride with Jane Fonda as well, who was against oil sands as well. Meanwhile, the oil, where's the oil in the world? People are starving for oil. They don't have enough oil in Australia, China, in the East India. There's a lot of places with the blockades that are happening, and that infrastructure will not be back to normal for a long time. So we're going to be having shortages for a long time.
in 2018. Chief Adam, which is who we've been talking about here, who has criticized fossil fuel developers and hosted anti-oil activists, including Leonardo DiCaprio, signed an agreement with Teck after positive negotiations. Now, the Alberta government called him out on this. You can see Alberta Environment Minister says First Nations concerns with Teck Frontier are about the money. And says the Alberta government says First Nations concerns are about proposed...
It's all about the money, the whole thing. You know, and I know there's those of you out there that go, well, Tommy Temper only talks about money, you know. But hey, the world runs on money. Without money, you wouldn't be able to buy bread. You wouldn't be able to buy a car or a home or pay rent or whatever, have anything. You wouldn't have any health care without money. Hey, the money gets taken off of your paycheck by way of taxes and stuff to pay for your health care, even in Canada. But, you know, the little guy is the guy that's being hurt the most by what's going on federally, right? The little guy gets taxed like hell. If you are a little guy and you own a car and you go to the gas station to buy gas, well, you're paying so much tax for that gas. You're sending it to the federal government. You're paying the GST, the tax on top of the tax. It's ridiculous living in Canada. It's like, that's why living in the United States is a lot better than Canada, because your taxes are way, way lower than they are in Canada. So that's one of the pluses of what you guys are into living in the States. But, you know, all we want is a better life here in Alberta. We're seeing what the problems are. We're seeing what Mark Carney is doing. He's spending literally $100 billion since he's been elected. Where's that money coming from? It's going to come from your taxes, out of your pocket. It's coming from him printing more money, which is causing inflation. And it's going to be coming from him borrowing money, which you're going to be having to pay the interest on that money. So it's all money. The whole world runs on money. So whether you like it or not, yeah, that's what the whole problem is here. So a better life in Alberta is going to be independence. But this guy doesn't want the money being stopped flowing into his pocket. So he's like, no, I don't want independence because I think I'm going to get more money from the Canadian government. Is that what it's all about? Is that what he's thinking? Is that what's in the back of his mind? You make up your own decision on that one.
Teck Frontier oil sands mine are more about getting a bigger share of royalties than about protecting water, bison, and other environmental concerns. Chief Alan Adam here is all about the money. He's greedy. Or we've got this story, RCMP's cleared after a cert in arrest of prominent Alberta First Nations chief.
Yeah, this is a good one. It's like he's driving, he comes out of a casino, and the cops note that he's got an expired plate or something on his car there, whatever, didn't register it. So they go to, get him on it and whatever. He puts up a big resist arrest thing and starts calling the cops racist, throws that racist card. What's with this guy? There's something wrong with him.
Chief, no evidence of R-word treatment against Alan Adam. So Alan claimed that the RCMP and the way that they arrested him in this story was because of the R-word. And basically what happened here, I can't play the footage, but basically he resisted arrest. This cop walks around, tries to arrest him, tries to put his arm behind his back, and he refuses. And then the other cop here does a wrestling move on him. And this is all because his license plate was expired. In March 2020, Adam was leaving Fort McMurray Casino with his wife and niece when an officer pulled up behind him in his vehicle. The truck had an expired license plate. The cops came to talk to him. He resisted arrest. He's driving illegally with an expired license plate. And then he cried foul, that R-word, the RCMP, stuff like this. These incidents do not occur to wealthy white people in Alberta. This is what the chief said.
Well, I think her argument essentially is that...
no, things like that do happen. Things like that have happened to me. Like, I've been incarcerated by the police department as well for something that I didn't do. So yeah, absolutely happens to white people.
The judge ruled that they made an error, right? In the way they did the law and the process. It happened. It failed to do the duty to consult. And that is a duty that the government bears, as you well know. I'm not trying to explain this to you. I'm just trying to fill in the blanks on the decision for people at home. So they're going to appeal it on that point, is what it sounds like. So what are your thoughts there, that this legal victory may very well be the start of a series of other legal challenges with the intention of still getting this somehow back on the ballot in October.
I still think it's a great victory, but if you want to show true leadership, you want to show grit, here's an opportunity for Premier Smith and Canada.
This guy talks about true leadership getting paid $260,000 a year. And what does he do? What value does this guy offer to our country? I'm going to say zero. Just sucks the taxpayers' cash and gives nothing back to us. And the poor people of this band, all 33 of them, probably have to hold their tongues because they probably know how corrupt this guy is. Taking money from the Tides Foundation, selling out Canada.
With the First Nations to sit down and start building this country and start developing, some of the resources.
Hang on. What? Start developing some of the resources? Did you hear what he just said? It's like, he's like, oh, I'm not the bad guy in this situation. We need to start developing the resources. But yet you're taking $55,000 from the Tides Foundation, who's, enticing you to be against oil sands development. And to be against that, but yet you're sitting on national television acting like, oh, well, I'm like all for development of resources.
Not some, but the majority of the resources that we have on our traditional.
Yeah, he talks about developing resources, but it can only be on traditional land as long as he's making money from it. If Canadians want to make money, he's going to block that with money from the Tides Foundation. How is this even legal? What's going on here?
Territories where First Nations will also be beneficiary to the wealth that's going to be coming out of their traditional territories, because
if they're getting mines or whatever project set up, then no more reconciliation payments. $10 million a year, it's gone. $100 million payouts, cancel it.
And we as First Nations are sovereign people because we have our own identity. We have our own.
This is such a joke. Sovereign.
Well, hang on. If you're a sovereign identity, then why should you be worried if Alberta separates from Canada? You're sovereign. You're on your own land and you're sovereign. Why worry about what the rest of Albertans want to do?
People, if they weren't getting taxpayer money, this sovereign nation wouldn't exist. This First Nation band would go bankrupt. You can't call yourself a sovereign nation when your entire existence is dependent on Canadian taxpayers.
We do live according to prior to colonial contact, although we do adapt today's standards as well. And, that's just the way it is. And we are.
You adapt to Canadian standards the way it is right now. Yeah, you've got a new car, you've got a new house, you've got new furniture. Yeah, you're living just like everybody else. Plus, you got an awful lot of money in your bank account, I bet.
Still satisfied. And like I said, it's an opportunity for all government levels to work together to build this country.
This guy may be a rich man. He is not a smart man. So David Cochrane here is talking about pipeline to the BC coast, Daniel Smith and Mark Carney doing a deal. That throws a big monkey wrench into this, because if this gets quelled, then really Carney doesn't need to do the deal, but he wants the carbon capture. So if there's some sort of deal that works out for him to make money, then he'll go forward with it. Now, just look at this.
These issues come together. In your view, the push on the court decision on the sovereignty referendum, the inevitable reaction we're going to get, and this resource development push that we're also seeing between the two levels of government. Sorry, I see your cameras flipping around on you there, Chief Adam. Have his man, technology and live TV. You look great. Just go with it, sir. Just your thoughts on that.
Just say that again, say it again in regards to.
Say it again, because he wasn't paying attention. He's too busy fiddling with his camera. And then his wife starts talking to him.
Here's an opportunity for nation building by people and everything and stuff like that. And, it's busy. I'm doing an
Shut up. Get out of here.
interview. Okay, I'll come back to.
That's how everyone at home knows it's live, Chief.
Yeah, this is about as professional as how he's running his band.
Yeah.
We're not faking it here. This is not AI.
Yeah, it's all funny. It's all funny stuff.
No,
it's not AI. This is reality. And, I'm sorry that it had to happen.
Yeah, it's actually reality in the sense that you're being exposed for what you are. That's the reality.
But
Okay.
All right, we've had enough of this nonsense. And just think, this is who CBC chose to bring on. Now, he is the face, the head, the leader in pushing back against Alberta separatists. So I guess this is suiting for the CBC, isn't it? To round off this episode, I realize this is a bit of a blood boiler, this one. So we've got a clip of Trudeau's son showing he's a chip off the old block. This one clip sums up the Trudeaus.
Ottawa, what's going on? It's Zav. I'm with you know who it is. We're at TD Place. I got a show tomorrow, halftime show for the Ottawa Blackjacks. We're standing on the logo. Let's go.
I'm just a proud dad at Soundcheck, but go ahead.
Oh, jeez.
Ottawa, what's going on? It's Zav.
He missed.
I'm with you know who it is.
Oh, man. That's ridiculous. Okay, anyways, that was from, you got to check out his channel. He's a great podcaster on YouTube. Check him out. Moose on the Loose. Moose on the Loose. Check him out. That's who we got that clip from there. Great clip. Great little exposure of what's going on with the Tides Foundation and everything else. Let's listen to next a clip here from Keith Wilson. Keith Wilson, constitutional lawyer, okay, and he's like pro independence, okay, and let's listen to his take on what he has to say about Alberta independence and what needs to happen moving forward with the whole thing here. Here's Keith Wilson. Let's listen to a bit of this clip here, and I'll interrupt a little bit and interject here as we play it.
Well, with the court having ruled that all the hard work of over 7,000 registered volunteer canvassers is quashed, that's a remarkable, difficult decision to accept, that the court would so dramatically interfere in a democratic petition process. But, you know, when you are engaged in a political fight like we are for the future of our children and our grandchildren, and seeking to free ourselves from the ideologues who are harming things from Ottawa and build a new country for our children and grandchildren, we have to be ready for setbacks along the way. And we're going to continue to encounter them. But at the end of the day, I'm very optimistic that we're going to be successful in creating the freest, most prosperous new country in the world.
We all knew that there would be roadblocks, that people would throw up roadblocks. We're expecting roadblocks from Mark Carney, from the federal government. We're expecting roadblocks from the NDP party, who's like anti-oil in Canada. And from, you know, the Tides Foundation and those people that they pay. There's like lots of roadblocks where they they don't want Alberta independence. They want the oil kept in the ground. They don't want any kind of expansion whatsoever. They're all, you know, into like climate activism and stuff like that. And, you know, I think that we just have to be patient, you know, and know that things are going to happen. And, you know, people are going, ha, 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 we natives put up a roadblock against you and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, stuff like that is going to happen. And if they want consultation, well, then maybe we have to do consultation, you know. There's different things that we don't know is going to happen until it actually happens. No province has ever seceded from Canada. It hasn't happened yet. So this is all brand new territory that we're getting into here. So we just have to take it one step at a time, one step forward, two steps back. You know the routine.
So what should people do now? What are the things that Albertans who are committed to exercising their constitutional right to vote in a referendum on succession, on independence, what can they do now? So one of the things I want to clarify for you is the complex, difficult to understand, and abstract rules of election finance administered by Elections Alberta. Now remember, they didn't make these rules. Successive governments over the last couple of decades have made them. We just all got to try and figure out what they really mean and how to make sure we stay in compliance with them. So we've just left a period what's called a petition campaign period. There was the Mitch Sylvester petition campaign related to the independence question. That concluded on May 2nd, and the courts have, in the week of May 13th, struck it down.
That's right.
So there's no active petition period going on right now, which means there's no rules and restrictions.
Yeah, we're in like a limbo here right now. It's like, what happens? You can always appeal, and of course there's going to be an appeal on this this liberal judge's verdict on what is happening. And, again, she was not elected. She was appointed by the Liberals. So you know that her mindset is going to be liberal, which is, that the Liberals are against oil, against, of course they're going to be against Alberta secession, especially if she's a federal judge appointed federally. She's not going to be, working for Alberta. She's absolutely given out a judgment that is against Alberta. We don't like it, but you can't change what's happened, right? All you can do is work with what's happened, work with the past, and change what you're doing now, and work for the future.
On political expression, on political organization, on political advocacy. And there'll be a new set of rules and restrictions that get triggered because there'll be an announcement by the provincial cabinet in the coming weeks or month or more on what specific independence or succession question the cabinet's going to decide to put on the October referendum.
That's right. We haven't even talked about Danielle Smith and the Alberta government and what they can and cannot do. They, really, honestly, she could say, hey, I don't care about anything. I have the right to be able to put this on the ballot. I can see that even though they haven't been counted officially, the Stay Free group has counted the number of signatures. They got 301,000 people. Only 177,000 were required. It's the court system that is preventing the actual signatures from being counted. So it's up to the Alberta government. Now, of the people that are in the that they're party members of the Conservative Party, apparently 60% of those people are separatist people. So and I like Danielle Smith. She's like one of the best premiers that we've ever had in the province, and I love that she's doing at a distance. She has to stand back from the whole thing and not be part of the separatist movement, but yet be able to put forward the will and the wishes of the democratic people out here. And really, it's a democratic process that's happening here right now. But we've got a bit of a kibosh in there with the native band saying, no, consult us. So what is going to happen there? Is there going to have to be some kind of a consultation process that happens? Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Keeping in mind that between the Lukasik referendum petition and the Mitch Sylvester one, over 700,000 Albertans, as the premier's noted, have said, we want to have a vote on this.
That's right.
So the government's compelled to move forward. It's the right thing for the government to do. So, but what's really important for you to understand, it's not until the cabinet issues that order setting the independence question that the campaign period for the referendum begins. So the period we're in right now is a period of, that I've mentioned earlier, is how I describe it, as free political expression.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important that those who see the importance of a yes vote, see the importance of independence, take this opportunity to keep moving forward.
That's right. What we need to do is talk about it, do podcasts like I'm doing right now, do podcasts like other people that and watch, are covering this particular story. And we need to get out there and rally the forces, get out there and do convoys, fly the flag, get out on your streets, buy a flag, buy an Alberta flag. If you're on the yes side of the whole thing, don't just sit there and watch. but get along with the program. It's going to take you, me, and everybody else to put this thing forward. So don't just sit there. There's going to be a rally. There's going to be a huge rally that's going to happen. And I know that it's being talked about right now and potentially being planned. And we don't know whether it's going to be in Edmonton, Red Deer, or Calgary, but there might very well be 50,000 people that might show up. It might be the biggest rally ever in the province of Alberta, but it is going to be huge, because when you have so much so much in the way of, I would call it, when people say, well, this is ha ha ha, there's a roadblock in front of you here. But you know what? This whole thing is being talked about on all of the mainstream media. It's being talked about right across Canada. People in the United States are hearing about this whole thing. This whole movement is getting just a ton of what I would call, you can't pay for this kind of free advertising. Like you might think, well, yeah, but it's negative. It's negative. You guys have some kind of voter list. That's negative. You've got the natives put up a blockade. That's negative. No, it's not negative. It gets the word out that people want independence in Alberta. And people are talking about it. This is like huge, absolutely huge. And we have to take advantage of that situation. And the next thing to happen is going to be one huge rally, rallying up the forces and getting together. I don't know if it's going to be at the legislative grounds in Edmonton or somewhere in Red Deer or somewhere in Calgary. I don't know. But wherever that is, whenever that happens, I will be there. I will be covering it live for you, along with a lot of other podcasters. So watch whoever you want, but be on the lookout and be watching for the date and the time of that event, because it will be happening.
And there's two things that I recommend people do. The first is have the discussions with those people around you who you know or believe might not be independent supporters. But don't get in their face. Don't get pushy. Be compassionate and try and find common cause with them on something. And what the polling suggests, the most likely thing you're going to find common cause on is a view that Ottawa is mistreating Albertans. Ottawa is making policies that are harmful to Albertans. Ottawa is making policies and laws that we have little to no say in.
Yeah. Like, for example, cap oil. No more production of oil. No more expansion of oil sands. Bring in carbon taxes that are harmful for the ability for corporations to actually make money. So they go, no, I'm not going to invest in Alberta because, we have to pay too much in corporate carbon taxes and buying this and buying that, trading fake stuff, net zero crap, bullshit, carbon carny bullshit. Like, we're one of the few countries in the world that, you go to the United Arab Emirates, they don't have carbon taxes. They don't carbon tax the companies that pull oil out of the ground. It's only stupid Canada here with carbon carny, and you guys elected him, elbows up, which is harming us here in Alberta 100%. And it's harming everybody else right across Canada with these clean fuel taxes that you're paying. Hey, you know that you're paying over $2 a liter for gas. Well, yeah, do you like paying that clean taxes? And then they make you blend different fuels and whatever and add ethanol and bullshit like that to the gas, like, come on. It all costs money, and that's why our fuel is so expensive.
That aren't consistent with our values, hold our economy back, have brought in uncontrolled immigration that's not been thought through in terms of...
Oh my God, we haven't even talked about the mass immigration. There are so many reasons why Alberta should separate. Get away from all of those bad policies. Mass immigration, one right there. They're not even thinking about who they're bringing into the country, bringing in all kind of criminals, people that are the T word, from other countries, people that are firing weapons at the U.S. consulate, firing weapons at synagogues, and, burning the Canadian flag, protesting in our streets, just causing unrest here, protesting about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with Canada. I was chased down the street by Palestinian protesters myself, just for standing there with a camera, just for standing there with a phone in my hand. I was absolutely accosted, surrounded, and chased down the street, along with my 2 children. Like, these people are just despicable.
During that, the infrastructure and other supports in institutional settings, schools, hospitals are in place to support the new...
Yeah, the hospitals, they're overrun, and people go, oh, your provincial government isn't spending enough on hospitals. No, the reason that the hospitals are overrun is because of mass immigration. It's supply and demand, economics 101. Go to university and find out a little bit about economics. When you don't have enough supply and you have massive demand, you know what? You're going to have high prices on things, and you're going to have scarcity of product. Hey, you're not going to be able to get quick service in the hospital because you have ton of lineups, and you're not going to be able to see a doctor for 8 to 12 hours. That's where we're at here right now. You have people dying, Canadians dying, because of you bringing in so many people and not having enough for those people. Not enough housing for them, not enough food for them, not enough jobs for them. That's what the Liberals are doing. Blame the frickin' federal government. That's why Alberta wants out.
Number of new Canadians, those types of issues. And see if you can get the person you're talking to open up to you about how they don't like what Ottawa's doing. Because an independence referendum can lead away to independence, and that's why you should vote for it. But it's also a message to Ottawa that Albertans are not going to take it anymore, that we don't like what you're doing, and we want you to stop. So consider using that approach in your discussions with friends and neighbors and colleagues and people you will encounter as you are in your travels as we enter into the later spring and summer months. The other thing that I think is critically important is this campaign to convince enough Albertans to come out to vote in favor of independence is not going to be and cannot possibly be done by one group. I don't care how good or competent or skilled or strategic that group is. It's just not how it's going to work. It's going to require a couple of dozen groups, or at least 10 or 15 groups. And those groups are going to have to remain compliant with these very complex and obtuse election finance laws. And one of the rules, and it kind of makes sense, is the rules are designed around election finance, including referendum campaigns, to avoid some rich guy showing up with $5 million. The spending limit for a third-party advertiser group is $600,000. And him being told that, and he says, well, then create 5 groups and just spread the money around. So that's where the collusion rules come from. So
he's talking. This is by the way, Keith Wilson. Let's see, his channel is called Keith Wilson KC, constitutional lawyer. Okay, but anyways, he's talking here about forming groups, and then those groups being like say a seniors group or a lawyers group or whatever, citizens group, forming different groups, and people funding those groups, and then each of those groups promoting independence to different groups. So basically he gets into that whole thing and is talking about that. But yeah, let's look up another thing here. we'll see whether or not we can come up with another thing that I've saved here. I know I've got a little one from, let's see, let me go in here to the back end of my videos and pull up another one here. Let's see, where exactly are they now? Oh, watch later. Here it is. Okay, I'll just bring up another one here. Oh, this one here is Michelle Rempel. It's a short one here, 2 minutes long, and she gets a little bit into what's going on here with the federal government, and it's actually a kind of an interesting bit. So let me just bring it up here. There she is, and hopefully it plays here. I've been having a little bit of internet problems, but it's funny because I did a speed test on my computer here, and I was just under 1 gigabyte upload and download. So I don't know why YouTube is a little bit slow here for me. But this is Michelle Rempel Garner. And, phone call coming in. Hang on a second here. Let me catch this phone. Let me gotta mute here. Hang on. Stand by. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Okay, let me play this bit here from, this is explained. Higher tax and no pipeline. Okay, so this is what's happening right now in the background. Mark Carney is on his way to Alberta. Oh, amazingly enough. Why is, you got this whole Alberta wants to separate thing. And of course, you know that Mark Carney is going to go, oh no, I can't let Alberta separate from Canada under my watch because that would be really bad for me. Yeah, it would be. And actually, Mark Carney, you're part of the reason why this has come to a fruition, to a kind of a peak, because you got in and things are absolutely not any better with you running the country. In fact, things are absolutely worse. You're bringing in $100 billion worth of debt that we're going to have to paying for. You haven't done anything about equalization payments at all. Albertans voted to get the hell out of the equalization program so that we can keep more of our oil revenues within our own province here, and you haven't done a damn thing about that. Now you've got a majority government, so you can do whatever the hell you want, and you're leaving us high and dry. All you're doing, going, MOU, we'll sign an MOU, or we'll just jack the hell out of carbon taxes to make it so that it's unprofitable for corporations to operate in the province, okay? Jack those carbon taxes. That's really all you're about. Carbon tax, carbon tax, carbon tax, carbon tax. Oh, we'll build a pipeline. But you know what? There's no date, there's no company, there's no nothing with a pipeline. There's nothing other than, yeah, we'll build a pipeline. But before we build a pipeline, you're going to have to jack taxes to all your corporations. Okay, let's listen to what Michelle has to say about Carney coming to Alberta and, trying to make some kind of a fake pipeline deal by jacking carbon taxes and crap like that. This is just bullshit.
There's a lot of buzz today about Mark Carney potentially coming to Alberta to announce what is being called as, let me just read it here, an industrial carbon pricing deal. So there's a lot of headlines today about Mark Carney coming to announce some sort of a deal. But when you hear about this, if he actually comes out and makes this quote announcement, there's some questions that I have that you should have too. So if Mark Carney comes to Alberta and announces a quote, industrial carbon pricing deal, these are the questions that you should be asking. So the Liberals have been trying to spin this industrial carbon pricing deal as a way to get a pipeline, but they've left out a few big details. For example, when is the start date of a pipeline going to happen? We've heard nothing about that. Nothing about an actual day when the shovel would get in the ground for a pipeline. In order to have that date, you'd need what? A permit. You'd need the federal government and different layers of regulatory burden to actually issue a permit or permission to build this pipeline out. We haven't heard any of that. We also would need a builder who's going to build this pipeline. There's a lot of builders who've said, with the Liberals' No More Pipeline bill, Bill C-69, there's too much risk to build. So are the Liberals going to repeal that bill and make sure that there's an actual builder? You remember the Liberal government has chased investment out of Canada. Builders that had previously wanted to build pipelines said, nope, it's too risky because of Liberals' bills like Bill C-69. What about new production to fill that pipeline? Is Mark Carney going to be announcing that? Who is going to do that? What sort of capital would produce that type of a build? And again, these are all things that we need to have a construction start date on a pipeline. So when you hear this tomorrow and you watch if it actually happens, if you watch all the coverage and they're covering, there's been a deal on an industrial carbon tax, and none of the rest of those details about a pipeline or permitting or that actual start date has been announced, let me tell you what that is. That is a deal for a higher carbon tax without any sort of guarantee for a pipeline.
Exactly. She's got it right there to a T. It's just...
Well, with the court having ruled...
It's just... a pipe dream, as they say. It's not a pipeline, it's a pipe dream. You can't trust Carbon Carney. The bloody guy, he makes you and I pay for the carbon taxes like crazy, right? Remember the Liberals put this carbon tax on gasoline, and Pierre Poilievre had a campaign. You remember that campaign? The campaign from Pierre? Hang on a second. This was what it was all about here. I've even got the right thing here. Do you remember this? Do you remember this campaign? Do you remember we had the carbon tax on our gasoline, and it was tremendous. It was a lot of money that we were paying for this carbon tax. And then Pierre Poilievre came out with this campaign. Do you remember it? And then, you know who hijacked this campaign? Remember Queenie sitting in the ditch pig there, whatever, she gained that name, fighting the carbon tax. That's how she got 20,000 subscribers, was sitting in the ditch with the axe to tax sign. Remember? Spike the hike, axe to tax. Yeah. That was Pierre Poilievre. But you know who hijacked from him? Carbon Carney. Carbon Carney realized that he wouldn't get elected unless he got rid of the tax, right? That's what he did. But, foolish us allowed him to axe that carbon tax and then put onto gas something called the clean fuel tax. What do you think the clean fuel tax is? It's a tax. It's a carbon tax. You're being taxed. You're so stupid that, you believe that Carbon Carney is going to get rid of one tax on fuel, and then he puts another tax on it. Well, let's just axe all of those frickin' taxes. Axe the federal tax, axe the clean fuel tax, axe the GST tax, axe all of those frickin' taxes. But you know what? It'll never happen because Carbon Carney has a monopoly, right? And he loves taxing you. And he is spending so much money with all of those $100 billion deals for every province except Alberta. We're not getting anything from Carbon Carney. There's another reason that Alberta should separate, because we want to axe all the taxes, and we've got, actually, Carbon Carney is not liked whatsoever in Alberta. People go, oh, well, he lived in Edmonton or whatever. Yeah, big deal. I don't care. He's got in his mind, read his book. I haven't even read his book about values. His book about values is to make the world a much poorer place by by taxing anything carbon anywhere, developing carbon credit systems. I haven't even mentioned the word Brookfield. Have you guys heard the term Brookfield or the company Brookfield in relation to Carbon Carney? Do you guys know what he's actually up to with this company and how he has, shares in the company? Oh, maybe not actual shares, but he has stock options and deferred shares. A 100% big conflict of interest. Okay, that's what's going on. And you guys are too foolish. Elbows up. Yeah, elbows up. You guys think that it's, great, but it's not all that great. We're all suffering for it right across Canada. And you guys are like, oh, we love paying taxes. We want to pay more taxes. Yeah, well, go right ahead and pay more taxes. But over here in Alberta, we're sick and tired of paying all these taxes and crap like that. Sick and tired of the inflation rate with the printing of so much money out there. And we need something done about this. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, I'm going to play this next little bit here. This is by a guy by the name of John Bolton. John Bolton, Bolton. So you want to check him out if you don't know anything about him. And he's got a bit here on his podcast. He does podcast once a day, and he records his really late at night. And he's doing an interview with Mitch Sylvester. Mitch Sylvester is the guy that came from Bonaccord with the 43 boxes of signatures, the 300,000 signatures, and delivered them to Elections Alberta. And this is his take on what is happening with the Aboriginal court order by that judge. Where's that judge? Let's bring that judge in there again here. Yeah, by this liberal appointed judge from Eastern Canada that is apparently now living in Edmonton that I don't trust. You shouldn't trust her. But if you're a liberal, you're like, oh yeah, elbows up, elbows up. There's another elbows up. Look at, she's even wearing a liberal red outfit there. Oh my God. What's with this country? Oh, it's just, I could sit here and talk all day about the problems of living in Canada here. Okay, but anyways, let's watch this bit here from John Bolton, Bolton, and I actually met him and I interviewed him when it was in Alberta at the legislative grounds when we had the huge Alberta Independence rally. And like I said, he does a podcast. He's a radio show host, whatever. Great doing interviews and stuff like that. And you have to actually, if you're into Alberta independence, watch John Bolton, Bolton, on YouTube. Let's swipe this over here and listen to his interview with Mitch Sylvester.
Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Wednesday, May the 13th. Great to have you along today with the big blue mug of coffee. Tasting sweet this afternoon, but there's a little bit of bitterness in the coffee, it seems, after a decision came down that came across my phone.
Hang on. Just a little bit of bitterness in the air these days. A lot of people are pissed off. Like, a lot of people are pissed off about what's going on here. That's why we're having this so-called live emergency First Nation Stop Alberta Independence update here right now. So, but Mitch Sylvester, key player with the whole independence movement here. Let's listen. Is he pissed off, or is he level-headed and thinking, no big deal, this is just one small hurdle, and we know that there's going to be hurdles that we have to jump over?
About, within the last hour or so, and you've probably been following along with it as well. And this is the court decision regarding the petitions that were handed in just a couple of Mondays ago by Stay Free Alberta and the man you see on the screen right now, Mitch Sylvester. Mitch, thank you so much for taking some time. I heard about this, sent you a quick message, and you said you would talk to me. The first question, I guess, is, are you disappointed and are you surprised?
Neither. To tell you the honest to God truth, I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, and I'm going to tell everybody not panic. This is not going to affect anything. We've sent the government a very strong mandate of 301,000 signatures of Albertans that want this referendum for independence. We always knew it was going to be dropped in the Premier's lap. And based on Section 1 of the Referendum Act, she's going to have to call this vote. And we knew that was going to be the case. We knew we were not going to win this court case. We're going to appeal. But what that does for us is it actually shows us exactly what we already know. It just reinforces that we have to show up and we have to take control of our own process in order to win. So stay tuned. We're going to have a rally, the mother of all rallies, as far as I can. We're looking for a place to hold it right now, and we're going to have it in the next couple of weeks. And just be aware that we're going to expect every single one of you there.
Yeah, like listen to what he's saying. We're going to have one hell of a big rally. It's going to be the biggest rally that the whole province has ever seen. Even bigger than Greta Thunberg coming to Edmonton and rallying all the kids from the schools there to like protest oil and oh no, climate change and the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Greta. Where's Greta today? She's like on to the next money-making scheme that he's into.
It's going to be one of these things that we're going to say, look, you remember back in the day, well, some of you may not remember, but I asked everybody for 10 days. This is day number 1. This is the biggest day that we have to make a statement. We have to tell and show the UCP that, look, this is important. We've been on this path for a month. We've been selling memberships to the UCP just because we were expecting this very thing. So where we are right now is we're in a position.
This is the other thing, is that if you're in Alberta, buy a membership to the United Conservative Party, okay? Because if you're a separatist, if you want independence, the more people that buy memberships, the more people that can actually vote with the party for who's going to be, if put it this way, if Danielle Smith is not going to be the person that's going to be for independence, instead of actually starting up a new party like an independence party in Alberta, all we have to do is just all become members of the United Conservative Party, and then we get to vote on things that we want, okay, within the United Conservative Party, and get the United Conservative Party to make sure that they put on the ballot on the election, especially on the October the 19th, that we want the separation question on that ballot. So buying a membership to the UCP party is actually fundamental in making this whole thing work. If for whatever reason this whole thing doesn't get on the ballot, but I don't think you can take a chance. I think you need to buy a membership to that party. So that, and right now, apparently 60% of the people that are members of the UCP party that have memberships, 60% of them are already separatists, believe it or not.
Where we have to explain to the UCP that the largest part of their membership is Independence people. And they acknowledge that. I'm sure they do that. They give us the opportunity to have the vote. So now we have to show up and show them that that's actually who we are.
I'm not sure if these numbers are correct. I heard that in the last election, about 600,000 people voted in the last provincial election. Over 300,000 people signed this petition. So that is certainly a message for Danielle Smith and the UCP that, we really want to be heard here. Now, what I'm concerned about, and I'm sure a lot of people who worked very hard over 4 months, you saw those boxes when you handed them in, you had a big grin on your face, those people sitting in the snow. What happens to the signatures? They were sealed up. They're sitting at Elections Alberta. For all I know, you counted them.
They're not going to be counted.
We know there's over 300,000 signatures there. Are these going to be destroyed, all that work, and never be counted because of this judge's decision?
Well, I don't think you should look at it that way.
Okay.
I think that what happened when we collected 301,000 signatures is we showed the Premier and the UCP government that there's 301,000 Albertans that are prepared, and I believe the number is actually real. I know that the number is actually real. Our process was very stringent. Wow. I would be surprised if there was any attrition in those signatures. They had to be signed by the person that was actually signing the paper to authorize that they were actually there. They had to be vetted according to living in Alberta or not, their age, and they had to have a physical address, and then the canvasser had to sign off on it. So there's lots of steps there. But the way you have to see this is that you all showed up, you participated, you did the work, and you told the Premier of Alberta, look, there's 301,000 people that have the courage
That's
to
a
sign
lot of
this
signatures.
petition. That number is not going to change whether they destroy it or not.
Mhm.
That number is the message. And they play around with it and say, well, we needed they asked for 177,000 to trigger the referendum vote. They got 301. So our premier, right from the beginning, was going to be tasked with making this call, and you've showed her in a large way that you want to vote on Alberta independence. So don't ever despair and say that all the work
That's
that
right.
we've done was for naught. It was totally not for naught. This would not be happening without that. And so you should all continue to be proud of yourselves, as proud of yourselves as we all are, for all the work that went into that. And it's not for naught at all. As a matter of fact, like I said, I'll repeat it. Without that, we don't have a chance moving forward.
Right. Jeff Rath, your counsel here, who was in court, says we disagree fundamentally with the decision, which appears on its face to violate principles of natural justice and contain numerous errors of law. We have been instructed to prepare and file the appropriate appellate documents. So you talked about an appeal. How long would this stretch on? And do you think you could win it if you appeal?
No.
Yeah.
But we knew we weren't going to win any of this from the start. That's why, everybody said, oh, Mitch, you're pretty relaxed. Well, I'm relaxed because I was expecting this from the start. We've got a contingency plan here. We never thought this was going to be easy. We knew they were going to throw everything in the world at us. They don't want to lose $47 to $57 billion a year in income every year for the next 100 years.
That's right.
They totally understand what's at stake. They're going to do everything they can to stop this. But on the other hand, if we do everything we can to make sure it happens, it's going to happen. And I believe this right here is just going to make our people angrier. It's just going to make our movement stronger.
I like Mitch, very level-headed, and as you can see, he's not angry, but he knows that there's going to be other guys like me and that other people that collected signatures and people that are on the internet and on X and on Facebook that are going to be absolutely ballistic at the fact that they sat out there in the 30 below weather collecting signatures, and now the signatures can't even be counted because you got the natives that put up a blockade and got a liberal judge to come up with a ruling that says, no, you can't count those signatures. Like, what the hell? But I like Mitch because he's level-headed, and he's like, yeah, the message is out there. We know that we've got a lot of Albertans that want independence. Let's get it on the ballot. I don't care what it takes. It might take a consultation with the chiefs, whatever. If whatever they want, hey, let's go and have our consultation with them, and put the facts out in front of them. And if they go, no, we don't agree that there should be that, well, you're just a very small minority in the matter of the people that live in the province here.
I can't, Carney's going to come to Alberta on Friday, after they planned all this.
Yeah.
Notice how the judge.
Carney is going to push a pipeline to try and get Alberta to stay in Canada. It's like too little too late, Carney. Too little too late. Your pipeline deal is all about pushing carbon and carbon taxes, and Queenie already sat in the ditch with the tax sign. You know that we don't want your frickin' carbon taxes in our frickin' country. Come on, how ridiculous can you get with this whole stuff here?
Judgment comes today, and now Carney's going to come riding in on Friday, and he's going to say, well, from what I understand, he's going to say we're going to have an increase in carbon tax, and probably say that we're going to hook up Jason Kenney's pipeline, and he's going to take credit for that and say that that's going to save us. Well, pipeline's not going to save Alberta from us.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that, if there's more money, they're just going to take it all. It's not going to be any benefit to us. So you know what? I think the cat is out of the bag. I think people understand what's going on here. And the more of this stuff that goes on, the clearer it becomes.
Yeah, and it pushes people over to the independent side. We had the numbers just come out a few days ago saying 46% of the Indigenous people in this province would vote in favor. And I'm sure a lot of those people who are on the 54% side would do the same. But I think they're probably a little afraid to get to.
You've got an awful lot of the actual Indigenous people, 46%, more people want independence than don't want independence of the people that are Indigenous in Alberta, you know, and the chiefs overrule that, and they go like, well, no, we're the rulers, we're the chief, and we're gonna put up a blockade and use the court system to stop the whole thing from happening. Yeah, we're actually, this is actually going to happen, you know. Hey, you know, and really, honestly, you know, my take on this whole thing, because I know you guys go, oh, Tommy Temper, you're a traitor and you're this and you're that. It might not happen, you know, like if it does go to an actual vote, we might not get 51% of the people. But you know what? This whole thing is really, really making Ottawa look close at Alberta. And maybe Ottawa will, you know, understand how hard done by we have been and taken advantage of by the rest of Canada. And maybe that's why Carney is running back to Alberta here to go like, oh, hang on. We'll give you that pipeline that we canceled. We said no more pipelines, no more oil, no more tankers. But because you guys are threatening to leave Canada, hang on a second. We can work out a pipeline. But hang on. You guys have to tax your corporations like hell to make them unprofitable in order to make this pipeline. No, that's just a kick in the teeth, Carney. You're coming up with these taxes, carbon taxes. You know, we're like all about axe the frickin' tax already. We're sick and tired of paying your stupid carbon taxes, net zero bullshit. Carbon Carney, he's like part of the problem. He's not part of the solution at all. Like, come on.
Sign up or be part of this. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that this decision is unfair? We've got a very small percentage of people who are Indigenous, a very small percentage of Alberta is their land, yet they're making a decision based on all of these people and 5 million people in the province, 300,000 people who signed on a petition to get this done for a democratic process. Is this unfair?
Well, I mean, I don't want to blame Aboriginal people for this.
No, I'm not doing that.
And I won't.
Right.
Yeah, and not only just the chiefs. I mean, the federal government's been pushing this, so we totally understand where this comes from. But you know, let's go back to that number: 46% of Aboriginal people, with 13% undecided. So that could possibly be 60% of Aboriginal people that in favor of independence. And so why would that be? Because they hate the federal government as much as we do.
That's right.
It's just plain and simple. Yeah. If you ever talk to them, they've gotten a raw deal from the federal government.
Aren't the Aboriginal people out there shouting, we hate those colonizers? Who's that? That's a federal government. It's not me. It's not me, Tommy Temper, right? Because I was born in Canada, so I'm kind of native myself, but not Aboriginal native, but I'm native to the land here. I was born here. I'm not a colonizer, but if anybody's the colonizers, it's the federal government. And now that you have a chance of getting away from those bad colonizers, the bad federal government, why the hell wouldn't you want to do that? Why would you go, no, we don't want to go with Alberta. We all of a sudden love the colonizers. Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You know, it's a money grab. It's a money thing. It's the chiefs think that they're going to lose all of the money, the windfall of money that they're getting from the so-called colonizers that they hate so much, right? You hate them so much, but yet you love the coin. You love the coin coming in your pocket. But it's unfortunate that the people that are getting the coin appears to be the chiefs, and the old trickle-down theory is not working all that well, because why would you have so many 49 or 46% wanting independence? Obviously, they're not happy, and they're willing to cut the ties with the colonizer Canada government out there.
And you know, it's their land. Unfortunately, it's the province of Alberta's land, and that's a bigger part of this conversation. And you know, I mean, Aboriginal people don't even own the land that they live on. It's all Crown. It all belongs to the government of Canada. So you know what? We can do way better for them, and I believe that that's going to be the goal. And we want to do way better for all Albertans, and Aboriginals can get a hand up, and let's move the whole province on with, you know, a shining example of what we can do if we don't have government with their hands in our pockets and doing all the nefarious things that they've been doing to us.
Absolutely. Why not, instead of bringing in mass immigration, taking up all the jobs, why don't we have more jobs for Albertans, for Aboriginal Albertans, for people that want to work, the people that want to get ahead, for people that want to buy their own house, instead of overloading everything and having inflation causing everything going up so that nobody can afford anything except immigrants coming in here with a whole bunch of money and pooling all their resources together and living 20 people in one house. That's what you see actually happening out here.
Especially the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. What do you say to the people who have worked so hard at this over 4 months, and all the people who are part of the Alberta independence movement? Do you say there's probably we're gonna have a little get together? I'm sure it could be the mother of all get-togethers. Any idea when that might be happening?
I'll be there
now that we've had this decision.
Well, hopefully before the end of the month. We're actively looking for a place to hold it right now.
On.
So if anybody has any suggestions and places that will hold, I'm hoping we'll have 50,000 people there.
That's the biggest.
That's how big an event I want it to be.
Okay, what do you expect from Danielle Smith? What do you want?
And I want to just finish what you asked me. I'll say thank you to all the people that did the work.
Yeah.
And what do I say to Danielle Smith? The same thing basically that I've always told her. I've asked her 5 times if she would lead Alberta into being a new country. I've asked her that that would make it quite a bit easier for everybody, including us, if she would absolutely decide that if the vote was in our favor, that she would plan the secession, if she calls the vote, I believe she's going to have to make plans for Albertans to make sure that there's a smooth transition to the other side. And I really believe that based on the fact that hopefully that that government, the UCP government, allowed us to have what should be a citizens' initiative referendum, where the people still have the ability to call the government based on a referendum to action, which is apparently we no longer have. So I just want people to internalize that, to quote Jeff, to internalize the fact that they've basically given us no way to petition the government now, based on this ruling. So we've lost a bit of our democracy here, a big bit of our democracy.
Yeah.
So I expect the Premier to call the vote, to tell you the honest to God truth, and I expect her to call a vote on independence. And she's always championed the fact that she likes the direct democracy system. So
that's what we actually want. When we become independent, then we want direct democracy, which means whenever something important is coming up, which involves the expenditure of money, that it is gone out. It could be electronically, do it electronically, where everybody in the province that's registered to vote can go in and electronically vote on any issue. So we're involving the people. There are so many problems with the federal government where they spend money on, and I've said this many times, on like gender equality in Biafra or something crazy like that, where they're spending $100 million. And I'm going like, what? That's my taxpayer money that's going to that. I don't want to spend money on that. I didn't even vote on it, but yet the government is spending money on that issue. We need direct, absolutely, where everybody gets a chance to vote on large expenditures of money. The operation of the government, well, we don't need to have, individual people voting on that stuff. But whenever there's large monies involved and it's taxpayers' money, we need direct involvement with government. That's how our new government system with the new country of Alberta will be completely different than the way things happen, where you elect a dictator and that dictator ends up spending in a year $100 billion and you don't have any say whatsoever as to, you say, hey, what about who's getting rich with this? Is Brookfield getting rich with this expenditure? What the hell is going on here? How come I don't have a chance to vote on that? Yeah, that's the problem with our system here right now.
Here's her chance to stand up and show us that she will. And you know what? I have all the faith in the world that she will. However, the however is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I've asked many people at many town halls, if this comes to a vote between Alberta independence or the Premier of Alberta, whoever that is, which way will you choose? I did not have one person in 100 town halls tell me that they would choose the premier, whoever that was.
Is this,
Wow.
she said in the legislature today, I'm going to go and read the judgment, and that just came out a few minutes ago, and then we'll be looking at talking with the committee that is reviewing another question, the Forever Canada petition that's going through a legislative review committee right now. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't believe the Forever Canada petition can actually trigger a vote because I don't think it's a constitutional thing. I don't believe that's true. Is this a stalling situation because they're waiting for another petition in June? I believe that's the coal one Corb Lund is involved with. Are they stalling to the point where this will never be called? Let me ask you that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Justice Feasby himself said that Thomas Lukaszyk's petition is a nothing burger. He said it twice in court. As a matter of fact, I was shocked that he would say it. We all knew that based on the transfer payment vote that we had several years ago that had 61% support, that they did nothing because they could not do anything. You have to open the Constitution to make meaningful change. And if they don't open the Constitution here, and ours is the question that's going to open the Constitution. So I don't believe the UCP is going to get away with playing those games because we shouldn't let them. So we've been selling UCP memberships for months. Now, buy a UCP membership. Get your friends to buy a UCP membership. This is your leverage against them. And let's practice something that used to be something that we thought was a real deal. We thought that government listened to the people, that it was a bottom-up situation. And forever now, this has been a top-down situation. And you know what? Maybe now's the time to send government a message.
Yeah.
I want to ask you,
want this, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask you, I want to finish up on this, but I saw this decision come down. I wasn't surprised. I've spoken to you before. I knew that you thought that this wouldn't be.
Yeah. I'll have to say I wasn't surprised either, because when I heard that it was a Liberal judge making a decision, I knew right away that she would put a kibosh to the whole thing, because if you're appointed Liberal and your guidance is coming from the Liberal Party, obviously you're appointed by them, and you're not like a true blue conservative Albertan to begin with, then obviously you're not going to want Alberta secession. So you're going to be against the whole thing.
In our favor, but I'm sure a lot of people were very disappointed this afternoon. What are your final words to them? How should they be feeling tonight as they have dinner?
Energized.
Okay.
Energized, because here's the thing. We were always going to have to deal with this. This was not something that we didn't expect. We expected them to throw everything at us. This is one of those things. We have to show up. We have to continue to show up and just understand this. This is very winnable. We can't just, every time we have a setback, we can't think that, oh my God, the sky's falling, because it's not falling. We're in a good position. We'll still be in a good position. And moving forward, let's exercise the power that we have. We all have to show up in big numbers. That's our power. That will intimidate government. That will win this. So let's make sure we do that.
I lied. One more question. Will there be a vote on independence in October?
Say again?
Will there be a vote on independence in October?
Yes.
Okay. So that's your final word.
Yes.
Okay. So that's leaving it on an optimistic note. Mitch, as always, thank you so much for talking to me. I got in touch with you. I know you've been rather busy this afternoon.
Yeah, it's been a busy day.
Yeah, you got back to me very quick, and I always appreciate your time. And the people, they want to win this thing for you, Mitch, and we all want to win this thing. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I'm feeling actually a little bit better as well. So thank you for your time.
Well, just understand this. We want to win it for them too. Like it's for all of Alberta,
right?
And all of Albertans.
Mitch Sylvester from Stay Free Alberta, the Alberta Prosperity Project. We appreciate your time right now, and not a setback. Let's keep working and let's go. Let's keep going, Mitch? We got to keep going. So thank you.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the interview with Mitch Sylvester, and he actually grabbed my camera, believe it or not, on stage there. And was kind of showing all the back view of the ballots that were up on the stage there. And yeah, I had a chance to actually talk to him one-on-one for a few moments there during the whole thing. So yeah, good to hear his view on the whole thing. So he's not put out over the whole thing. By the way, thanks a lot, everyone. All the super chats or people that joined up to my channel here. Please support the channel. It, you know, every little bit kind of keeps me going, keeps me making more videos and getting a bigger channel here and growing and having a good audience. Yeah, Sandy Foster, you're somebody that should donate to the channel here because you're very vocal out there and you watch a lot of the stuff here and you probably want to see more. So yeah, keep the donations coming in. Appreciate that. We're now at $93.99 subs to my channel. One more sub and I'll be at 9,400. So there's somebody out there watching. I know there's one of you out there that's not subbed up to my channel. Hit that sub button down there. Hit the like button so that more people can see this. I don't know how many likes we have, 41 likes or something. Appreciate everyone out there. And we'll do it again really, really soon. Maybe I'll do a panel where you guys can come up here and we can all talk about Alberta independence instead of ragging on and just running people down and, you know, just a bunch of drama and stuff like that. Let's do something a little more productive. That would be actually a good thing, right? But anyways, thanks a lot, everyone. That's it for the show. And we'll get into questions and stuff like that the next time I go live. Take care. Stay out of trouble. And independence for Alberta. We can do it. I know we can do it. Let's
in the
go.
shadow of the Rockies, where the wild winds blow, Albertans rise up, tired of the status quo. Oil sands pumping black gold, beef on the grill so fine, grain fields waving golden, canola blooming in
That's
the
right, Dimebag. Go Alberta, go. Later, mater. Freedom. Thanks a lot. Real Red Mama. Railroaded. Hey. Good to see you from Northern Alberta. Let's go. Alberta freedom. By the way, I had a really good meeting. I was out this morning at 11 o'clock with some mods on from the Edmonton Facebook group that I'm involved with. Edmonton Buzz is what it's called, B-U-Z-Z. And we had a fun time. We went out to Denny's restaurant there, and we were talking about Alberta independence and everything that's going on here, and everyone is pretty pumped up. Even though we have this blockage, just like Mr. Sylvester said, Mitch Sylvester, be calm, be cool, be collected, and this thing will roll through. You know, he's like, will the vote happen in October? Yes, it will. Be there and vote yes.
From the prairie to the peaks, where the eagles soar high, we're sick of the traitors calling us traitors, that's a lie.
That's right.
Equalization's a thief, stealing our hard-earned pay, while they push their agendas, turning night into day. Beef ranchers and farmers, grain silos stand proud, oil rigs turning profits under Alberta's cloud. Woo-hoo. No more begging for ports, landlocked but strong we stand. We'll negotiate our future with the world.
Jethro. Alberta freedom.
Ring it loud and true. Sovereignty calling, independence coming through. No more woke liberalism, stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cut loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families.
I know this is going to happen. It'll happen. One step forward, two steps back as we progress. But as you can see, we got to get away from Canada. That flag is getting more tattered and more woke every day with the Liberals in charge. Granny in the house. Hey. Daisy. I don't know. I'm not looking at the chat that much for what's happening, Daisy. I'm just having fun bringing you the latest content, the latest information, the latest on Alberta independence here. This was actually a pretty good show because we heard from a lot of key players what their take is on the latest roadblock with the Alberta independence brought up by the First Nations crowd and with the judge, the Liberal judge. And, you know, shit happens, but you just move on, keep moving.
Separation's the answer, lifting us higher.
And personally, I'm not mad. I'm like Mr. Sylvester, thinking that just be calm, just be cool, just be collected, because shit is going to happen and things will move on. It will happen, and you just take it one step at a time. And don't worry at all about the end result, because we've been part of Canada for many, 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 many years, and we can't expect independence to happen like overnight. But you know what? It is happening overnight. It's like 1 year later, and holy smokes, we're just about ready to vote. Let's do it. Let's get that thing rolling for October the 19th, where the vote is slated to happen. All we need is Danielle Smith to push it through. We've got the numbers. We know it might happen. Let's have a little consultation, and we can do it. Let's go. Alberta, independence for the win. We can do it.